Okay, so it's recording now. We are 4 researchers from FiBreMoD, a Marie Curie network focused on composites research, so materials engineering. My name is Luca Martulli. I did my PhD within FiBreMoD with both KULeuven and Toyota Motor Europe in Belgium. We have Francisco Mesquita, you see here on the upper left. He also did his PhD with KULeuven in Belgium. Below Francisco, we have Lorenzo l.mencattelli from Imperial College of London. And finally, Fabio Malgioglio did his PhD also in KULeuven, so also in Belgium. So we are here to talk about our experience, to share our experience as Marie Curie fellows. Hopefully, this will attract more young students towards this kind of doctoral programs. And we've prepared a set of questions for us to discuss, topics for us to discuss, and I hope we will get your attention. So to start, the first thing, of course, to address would be the Marie Curie program, the MSCA, so the Marie Curie Association as a whole, and mainly how do each of us think this program actually improved our doctoral program, our doctoral training, and our career in general. So anybody, if you want to start, or if you have thoughts.
I can start, maybe. Well, I have to be honest that when I applied for the PhD, I didn't even know that much about, well, I didn't know a lot about how PhD worked and how these grants, how the projects were structured and everything. So when I started going around and telling people I would meet, so you're doing a PhD? Yes, I'm a Marie Curie. Really? Oh my God, that's amazing. And I was like, okay. So definitely, not that that's a benefit, but I didn't have the notion when I started of what was a Marie Curie, what it represented. And I started getting that feeling afterwards. In terms of the benefits for me, well, just be part of the project, be part of the group of 13 ESRs plus the professors, add a lot of value. The fact that we would meet every 6 months to discuss and we would brainstorm, have the, of course, mobility, that we would go around, collaborate, and so on. And then there were also, well, I participated in 2 activities from Marie Curie. One of them was this kind of conference of the MSCA. It was organized here in Leuven, so I attended it a couple of years ago, and it was very nice to meet other Marie Curie fellows and to know their experiences. Also, there were sessions on general topics of communication and such things. And then also we participated with you, Luca, and Fabio on the researchers' night, which was very nice to be able to explain to people who were just walking by and wanted to know what we were doing. Definitely that was a nice experience.
Yeah, true. If I can add on that, actually, I also think that one of the benefits of this thing, for me at least, I agree with what you said on the networking opportunities. I think the strength of what we did, at least for me, lies not only on the fact that we were Marie Curie fellows, but we were fellows of ITN, so the network. Because for me, it really mattered how much we interact with the seniors. Also, it's important. For example, the professors of course, through secondments, but also the professors we met sometimes every 6 months, for example, in the consortium meetings. But also, honestly, with you guys, because it was nice to see how we were developing, each of us, our own expertise. And with many of us, even we thought we wouldn't have, sometimes our path crossed. And I think in that occasion, interesting things came out. For example, I'm thinking me and Marco, for example.
Yeah, definitely. There were a lot of collaborations going on, and
Yeah.
for me, it was very nice to see how, from the beginning through the project, I could understand more and more what you guys were doing, and we could actually give ideas to each other, and in the presentations we would ask questions at some point. That didn't happen in the beginning.
Yeah, true.
But I agree with all what you said, guys. But if I had to add something to it, I would say that compared to other PhD programs, I felt that this one really made us feel that we were part of something bigger. So not only the community, so not only the Marie Curie community, but also doing research for a purpose that matter for society. So it's very difficult for a PhD student, in my opinion, to find that, because what we study is so complicated compared to, I mean, it's not something that you can explain to everybody you meet across the street and they understand the details of what you're doing, because you're at the edge of, you're producing knowledge, you're at the edge of knowledge, so you do something new for yourself, but also very difficult to understand for the others. And in this kind of projects, all these very difficult and very advanced things are there for a purpose that is very much linked to society. And this is why only few projects get granted, because there are those that convince the European Commission that this is something that will give a return to society.
Yeah.
And I think this is very stimulating. This helps a lot in finding a motivation, because especially when you are studying something hard and maybe the research doesn't go well, you always have the ups and downs. In the downs, you need to have an extra motivation, and I think Marie Curie project provides that more than other projects. This is my experience, at least.
Okay. I agree with basically everything you said. Another thing which I think it was quite relevant for me that I couldn't get from just from the PhD that I did at Imperial was the part of the training. And some of them, for instance, were not available even at top HR support teams like the one at Imperial. Therefore, without this opportunity, I couldn't have followed many of them, like the one in startup in Israel, or even the one on repairing of composite structures at Akras, which I think was very interesting to get some hands-on experience. So yeah, I think that training-wise, they provided many skills that I think would be useful for other applications or career-wise.
Yeah. Actually, on that, I would like also to touch something Fabio said before about the being part of something bigger. And I don't know, guys, how you felt, but one of the things that made me realize we were part of something bigger was also the involvement of the EU through the officers. And I remember the midterm meeting in which the officer was there. I don't know how you felt, but I felt slightly more pressure. That meeting was supposed to be better than the others, but yeah, that was kind of the feeling I had. But also regarding the trainings, I agree with Lorenzo that they were actually, that's a good point, because if you think about it, Imperial probably has strong trainings and weak. Of course, it cannot be everything excellent. You have stronger trainings and mid trainings, I would say. but with this, I really think we got the best of all we could get from all the institutions. Like you said, the startup in Israel, probably that was the place to be, at least close to Europe, for startups, trainings, entrepreneurship, and these kind of trainings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I can touch also something that Fabio was saying before about, the people that have another type of PhD that have a very specific topic, and we are part of this project where we're all collaborating towards a greater good for society. I think that I'm just going to reiterate that, I felt at some points that I really believe that that we should do what we are doing, that we have to do it, not that we should, that we have to. And I think that was quite important.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah, I agree. Okay, if you don't have anything else to add on this, I would move on. Actually, we mentioned training, and also we mentioned the meetings. And it's true, tonight we're not that diverse, but actually there were many represented countries in our project. We were 13 people, of which many Europeans, but also other non-Europeans. And this is because, well, as you know, the Marie Curie requires mobility, and not only mobility through country to of the researchers to go to another country, but also the secondmans, and of course the trainings themselves, the meetings that are always somewhere else than your research place. And actually, I heard from someone that sometimes these programs are very hard because of this, because you have to concentrate your efforts not only in research, but a lot of time also in traveling, trainings, activities, presenting, and some Marie Curie sometimes it even quit because of this. But we cannot ignore the fact that trainings and travelings are also a very important part of the PhD of the Marie Curie, and even sharing our results with the consortium was an important part of this. So, for example, if I can say my opinion on this, I think that this mobility requirement, it's true that puts a major strain on your research work. It makes it harder to achieve the degree, but also it shows that the Marie Curie programs are not about you getting a PhD and science getting done, but really to form you as a person, as a future researcher. And the science of the Marie Curie is part of the Marie Curie, is not the entire thing. Usually in a PhD, the main thing is the science, the research, and then there is these side activities like trainings and meetings or dissemination of results. I got the feeling that the Marie Curie was the balance was more diverse, was not exclusively on science. I don't know if you felt the same.
What you just mentioned is actually the most important point of the Marie Curie, and the greatest benefit that it gives, at least in my opinion, is exactly that. So it's about forming a new generation of researchers, new generation of people with knowledge. So it's not only about science. Science is a part of it, certainly. So it's just like what you said. I think that's the main difference between Marie Curie project and the other even good and competitive projects that are out there.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I also agree. I think that it is true that it puts you with an overload with respect that maybe someone would only focus on the scientific part. But I think is that it prepares you to being able then to manage time, manage your project in terms of not just producing research, but also to disseminate it, to communicate it. It basically provides you with all those skills in terms of managing your activities that will be necessary in a moment where you decide to take a more leadership role. Because if you decide then to apply once you get your PhD for another funding, you will have to at the same time carry out research and writing your grants. So you will have to do two things at the same time. And if you got a training that allowed you to multitask and work efficiently among those two things, then you are put in a better position of someone who's only focused on one single thing for 3 years or 4 years or many years as PhD in your countries.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You were adding something, Francisco?
No, I just support everything that you guys said, and yeah, I think that the fact that indeed we always had things to do, especially in the first year where we're always going for trainings. I think this ability to stop what you're doing, you have to go to a training, then you get back, you have to continue, then okay, you have to prepare a presentation for one of the meetings, and this constant I don't know, activity of okay, we need to change what we are doing to now focus on that. And, I think Marie Curie really promotes this this activity for us, and I think that's important indeed. That we have to really know how to address all of these things at the same time.
I have to say, of course, we were not involved in the writings of the proposal, but now I'm actually writing, checking the possibility of writing a proposal for the Marie Curie Fellowship, so a postdoc. And really, the science is important, but training is as important, at least. And really, I can imagine that the requirements for ITNs to be founded, so the proposal were the same. But actually, we saw it in our what's the name, the annex. We had the proposal in the end, and we saw how many trainings and dissemination activities there were. And also on what Lorenzo was saying, that we have, especially at the beginning, many trainings. I have to say that was quite intense at first, but that in the end was also helpful because it really taught me some time or project management, because I knew that, for example, in the next 4 months, this day I have the conference, this day I have the meeting, this day I have the training, this day I have to be in this other country because of this other reason. So you really have, since the beginning, to plan your research according to all the scheduled activities. And these kinds of force you to actually learn all these research management, project management, time management as well.
Mm-hmm. And maybe if I can add something, that the fact that we were all part of a consortium, every time we'd have to go to a conference, we'd have to submit an abstract, we'd have to share it with the consortium or the IP board in advance. So that even adds a bit more of planning to do, because okay, in a month I need to submit the abstract, so okay, I need to start writing it a bit in advance so that I can submit it before. So it adds a layer of complexity, I would say.
Yeah, true. Which again, it's hard to deal with at first, but I think in the end, it's a sort of hands-on training, basically.
Yeah, I think you just get used to it, and eventually this is the normal.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. Okay. Anything else to add on this, or moving on? So we know that now the Horizon 2020 will end in 2020. This will probably be the last fundings for Marie Curie under Horizon 2020. So I don't know how. No, probably nobody knows how exactly, but things are going to change. And thinking of on the future, is there from us that we lived it, do you think there are ways to improve the Marie Curie programs? What you hope, if imagine a person you hold dear, like I don't know, your brother or sister, applies to this to such a Marie Curie program, would it be something you hope for them to be in place already that was not there for us? Some sort of improvement ways. For example, me, I know. Me, for example, I would say that well, we were a big consortium. We were correct me if I'm wrong, 6 universities and 3 industries, right?
Yeah. Plus 3 that were also that did not have ESRs, but were also part of the consortium.
And it was for industries.
Yeah, for industries. I think that I know it's very difficult to plan ahead, but I would say that there needs to be slightly more synergy between the parties, maybe. I think that sometimes, for example, the secondments, they need to be slightly better defined at first. I know that it's difficult to write that in the proposal, so maybe it's not even feasible, but that would have helped, I think.
But you mean the topic or the practical arrangements? Because
yeah,
I would say that well, maybe happened that could have been better, were some secondments that could have been better arranged in terms of paperwork, and in the end were not so successful because of that. But topic-wise, I think defining it from the beginning is also quite risky. Well, at least it should not be imposed. It could be suggested, but definitely not imposed.
Yeah, that's actually true.
I think this is very specific and personal. Also, it's not easy to plan ahead the contents of your research because you need some freedom. And actually, Marie Curie projects give you certain freedom. So it's not that you find out that your research is useless, but it was written in the proposal that you have to do it anyway. No. There is room for a change, and there is also quite some flexibility in maybe even this flexibility is something that I would probably improve, because it could be even more flexible. So you could make a change and say, okay, why should I go to this partner where my research will not benefit so much, whereas in the other one, maybe I will get more out of it. In our project, this was done a couple of times. Like I think one of our colleagues changed the partner. He went to Siemens with us instead of somewhere else. And the end of the day, it was better for him and better for the project. So there is some room for flexibility. Sometimes I understand that the paperwork to be done, to be accepted, is quite a lot of work for the coordinator. Maybe that can improve.
Yeah, true.
So I think that setting them in advance is also not very great for just two reasons. So when you go for a secondment to do research in another institution or industrial partner, you have two options. One is that you focus on something that is that perfectly fits in your current PhD at your home institution, or the other option is that you try to go for something a bit outside your main PhD focus, and you try to create a small piece of research which has value and impact for both you and the host institution. And I think that having the possibility to decide on the moment, let's say, which means like a couple of months, 3 months before the start of the secondment, it's quite important, because it gives you the chance to explore whether you want to test your research flexibility skills, whether you want to see whether you can embark in a short project to test your capabilities and to see if something can come out of interest, even if it's not what you have been focusing on for the past 2 years, 1 year and a half, or if something is really important to keep going in your research, that would be the right occasion for you to do it and to exploit that collaboration in line with your PhD. And I know that amongst us there are people who did follow the first option, and like myself, the one who did follow the second option of exploring something different from their main path. And I think they are both very valuable, and we need to give the researcher the possibility to choose at the moment based on where they are in their research and to steer it to the right direction.
Yes, actually,
I think that also depends on the type of PhD. Sorry, Luca.
No, it's okay.
Because yeah, those two options. I mean, I think it's clear, well, from my experience at least, that there are PhDs which are, of course, all in the same topic, but different pieces of research within the same topic, while other researchers are, or other PhD theses are more a full story that has a beginning as an end. And I think that if it's the first option, yeah, trying something new, of course, it's a possibility, it's viable, because your research, although in the same topic, can be something valuable can be added by testing something new. But if you have a whole story, especially in the Marie Curie projects, which are 3 years, starting something new may be prejudicial in the end. So
yeah, that's why it needs to be evaluated at the moment, and to see if you can build a reasonable plan to make it feasible and within your time constraint.
And at the same time, sometimes you start something new and then your PhD actually changes in a way because you started something new and you focus on something else. So I think that there are benefits and drawbacks, not that there is a preferable choice.
Yeah, actually, I was going to ask about what you said. If you some example of people who did something outside the research line in a second, and actually you said you did. I think Fabio did as well in Germany, no?
Well, this was not planned at the beginning, but at the end, well, it was kind of planned, but it was not the plan of my research at the beginning. So we made it fit. So I had a secondment in an institution that works with pressure vessels, and we actually made it to do a great fit.
Yeah.
So also the collaboration was great with the other ESR working there. So he came to us, and I went there, and we did a very nice piece of collaboration.
Yeah, I did it for 2 times. One when I went to KULeuven, the other one when I went to Shomara. In both cases, it went quite well. And also when the other PhD students came at Imperial and worked together with me, they also were working, and I was collaborating in topics which were far from being related to this very specific topic that I was following in that moment. So that actually, I enjoyed that type of approach, because of course, even it costed me time from my main research focus, but it allowed me to actually, explore new type of materials, different type of testing methodologies, different type of analysis, different aspect of the fields, and they broaden my knowledge in that field, which I guess increases then the potential for new project or new idea that I might have in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, actually now that I think about it, we kind of steered the questions on the question from the future of Marie Curie to secondments. But actually, we can combine these things. And I was thinking, the future of Marie Curie. What would you say? Would you be happy to have done a secondment outside of Europe also? Because for the moment they needed to be partner organization inside of Europe. But actually it would be interesting to, of course it would be difficult to have an institution from outside of Europe inside the consortium. But maybe just as partner organization for possible secondments, do you think it would be, you would like that? You would
I think that exists, because I remember a project that had the University of Michigan part of the project. I don't remember which project it was, but I remember seeing this. So I guess that's a possibility.
Okay.
Also for us, close collaboration. European Union has close relations with Israel, but Israel is not really part of Europe, and we are still there.
Yeah, but it was a partner organization. Maybe it was one of these third associated countries, kind of.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was saying. That Israel is quite close to Europe, but it's still not officially part of Europe. So interesting how that worked.
I think one thing that I would change slightly is I mentioned before that trainings have been like a big part that I enjoyed. I think I would have enjoyed more if this training would have been a bit more hands-on. Maybe always, you have a part of the training where you learn through lessons or course material or so on, but then you also have a workshop part of the training. For some trainings it's trivial to do it, for some others it's more tricky. But I don't know if, for instance, you are talking about a training on setting up your own startup or more business oriented, maybe having a small workshop where you draft the structure of a business plan and you get a feedback on that, on your idea. I think that would be more useful than just listening to a person for how much valuable that lesson could be. I think in terms of, making those skills yours, it would be useful to have workshops together with trainings.
Sure.
I agree. So perhaps there could be a new format, because now we have the trainings that are, it depends on the training, right? So you have the hands-on, or you can even distinguish in two types. So you can be more obliged in the future to have a workshop training or other kind of training. And in that case, you would be kind of forced to make the training that you mentioned, for example, more hands-on.
Something like in the proposal when we were asked to do an industrial and an academic secondment, kind of like 50-50 workshops and class trainings, let's call them.
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Introduce something else. Maybe something I actually don't know if this exists, but it could be nice from the Marie Curie organization, actually, if they could organize. I'm talking about communication here. If they could organize a sort of video cast, perhaps as we're doing here, where they maybe would select one project at each week, and that at least each project during their lifetime would have a conversation and interview with someone from the EU to talk about what's the project about, what's the experience, what we are doing here basically, and that would give projection and teach us as well as researchers to explain our projects, to communicate. Because of course we did the video to explain what is the project about, but something that started from the EU to come to us could be interesting to do.
Yeah, like a sort of a standard format, like they have the fellow of the week, which is just it's a Facebook post, sort of project of the week, but deeper, like a video, like really interview, something.
Even take the researcher of the week and interview him and
also deepen that one probably.
Experience his project. That could be nice.
Yeah,
it would be nice if this was organized by a professional team. I mean, organized by the EU, because this is one of those things that would take a lot of time out of the research. So I remember one of our colleagues, actually, he did prepare the video of the project, and he spent a lot of time. He was really under pressure, because if you're not a professional, it's not your profession, you have other things to do. Instead of having like a group that organizes that for many Marie Curie projects all around, would be very interesting, and it would not demand a lot of effort from the researchers. So maybe one day or more. That would be nice.
Definitely.
Okay, that was interesting actually. It was nice thoughts we came up with. And moving from the future of the Marie Curie to actually our future. Of course, some of us just finished or are going to finish the PhD, so we won't talk about what we are actually applying for, where we're going, where we want to go. But the question is different. It's not what you will do next, but mainly how being a Marie Curie fellow helped you in doing or applying, if you're doing it now, what you're trying to do next. For example, if I have to think in my case, of course, in principle, industry do not care too much about publications, academic records, and if you have a PhD, it means you have enough knowledge. So it doesn't really matter for an HR representative from an industry if you hold a degree, a PhD degree, or a Marie Curie PhD degree. But at the same time, I think that in my case, for example, having done a PhD in Toyota, so in an industry, gave me something more to someone who did a standard PhD. And of course, even you guys that did Fabio, Francisco and Lorenzo that did it in university, you can still say that you did long research stays through secondments in an industry. So potentially we can all sell that experience either to academia as PhD and academic life, but also to industry, because you're not new to industry. We're not new to industry.
So I believe there are, so one consideration is what you have in your CV. So your CV will be potentially richer than another PhD student that is not involved in this kind of project. Also, these projects are highly competitive, and therefore only stating that you managed to be in the project is an achievement that you can be very proud of. On the other hand, I think what it really matters in a career is not only what you have written on your CV, but it is your baggage of experience. And if the project gives you more of those valuable experiences, then it's superior to other kind of PhD projects, for example, because you just don't get the same. You get less if you are not in Marie Curie, let's say.
Yeah.
So I think it makes you better as a person. In addition to that, we had trainings about how to prepare an interview, how to manage your time, and how to be out of your comfort zone in many different things, because we really had trainings about a lot of things, from going from manual work to more soft skills, let's say. So yeah, I think these kind of projects can really enrich people involved.
Yeah, I would say that the fact that we did so many, trainings and secondments, and we were kind of polyvalent in doing a lot of things, gives, at least for me, the idea of what I want to do and what I don't want to do. So I think in terms of Marie Curie, that gave me something. I would say it's that, the fact that now I know at least maybe even better what I don't want than what I want. So that definitely was a plus for me.
That's interesting. That's kind of personal development, not only technical, but really, I don't want to say introspective, but kind of. Yeah, it's an interesting target.
Well, the fact that we did the PCDP, the Personal Career Development Plan, that also very nice how you could see it change through every 6 months. At least mine, maybe it didn't change a lot every 6 months, but there were 2 or 3 times that I really changed it a lot on what I expected to do and what I wanted to do in the future.
Yeah, true. Mine was it changed completely from the first draft to the last draft, because it's true that once you're there, you get to see both worlds, and it becomes easier to pick and to understand what you like and what you don't like.
Yeah, I think it will be an interesting exercise to now go and read not all of them, but go through each one of them and see how things change. What changed?
Yeah, sure. Actually, maybe some of the people watching don't know it. So Marie Curie are supposed to draft at the beginning of their PhD this PCDP, which is short for Personal Career Development Plan, and every 6 months you're supposed to reflect on your passion or your expertise, and to put on paper what you would like your career to be, and try to identify trainings or activities that will lead towards this path. There are no other inputs, actually. Yeah, Fabio?
I think only the exercise of thinking about what you're gonna do next.
Yeah.
What's your career going to be?
Yeah.
This is something that in many other PhD or research activities, it's just your problem. So nobody obliged you to spend some time and think about it. Yeah. So you end up after a few years without having done this kind of exercise, which I think is important.
I have to say, I think that this drafting of the PCDP, in a way, it's a training itself. I don't know if you agree with that.
Well, I would not say it's a training per se, but it's an exercise, of course, of thinking about your future. Yeah, I don't know if I want to classify it as training or not. I don't know.
Yeah, of course, hands-on training, sort of.
Yes. But
one hand is one more thing that you have to do. So it adds some pressure, like, oh no, I have this deadline, and on top of that, I have to do this PCDP thing. So sometimes you really don't like having so many things to do, but you see the value afterward.
Yeah, true.
Mm-hmm.
In the end, it pays back.
And of course, touching on that, I don't know how it was your experience, but every now and then someone would ask me, right in the beginning of my PhD, so what is next?
Yeah, true. So actually, I was going to say to tell a nice sort of anecdote about future career. I will not say what and where, but actually I applied to a position in which I recently applied a position in which they want to, let's say, to model delamination in composites repairing. And of course my PhD was different than strictly repairing activities, but with the training on repairing activities, at least I knew what they were talking about. And I think that gave me a strong advantage, actually, because I could combine the modeling I did in my PhD, which was an important part of it, but I was not completely, let's say, ignorant on the topic of composites repairing. So that's an example in which trainings that in the moment are interesting, are nice, but you don't really see the value of it in the moment. In the end, in the end of the road, actually, they pay off. I think that we talked for almost more than 45 minutes, almost an hour actually. It was a very interesting discussion, I think. I'm really happy of how we did. I hope it will come out as an interesting conversation for those who will apply to these programs. And if you don't have any other points to touch, I think we can end it here. Yeah?
Yeah.
So, guys, it was nice again to see you again, even in long distance. And thank you all for participating in this. And if some of the people watching wants to ask more, I will put the institutional emails of some of us or the project website in the description. And thank you everyone for watching. Goodbye.